the virtual class online on Mondays, as I mentioned earlier. Wednesday, we do have the lab portion, which I get to see you in person, and I get to do some whatever we want, maybe a review or some kind of one-on-one and things like that, right? This is what the time is for. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen, and as we begin the recording, we're going to talk about the course right now and the software. So I'm going to turn off my camera here and share my screen. At any point, you don't see my screen because things happen, a lot of glitches along the way. I've experienced even things with my audio in the past. I did a whole lesson for like 2.5 hours and the audio wasn't recorded. So that was kind of funny because it was a visual, I guess, exercise anyways, but the audio is important. So make sure if any of these things do happen, let me know so we can correct them right away, because I can't re-record the lesson after. Although I have done that as well in the past, if it's something really important. So this is how we're all here together this morning. We gather using the Microsoft Teams app. It's the standard method of using it within the Humber school policy and other educational institutions. This is the link that we have provided. As you already know, that's where you clicked to access this class. Every Monday, you do the same thing. This is our YouTube channel. I'm going to have one made for us specifically with these recordings that we're using. YouTube is pretty reliable because it's free, it's online, it's easy to access and stuff. So it's pretty versatile in that sense. So we're going to have our own personal YouTube channel for that, as I have done this for years now with these classes. And we went over the bio just quickly, briefly. Again, my name is Milorad. I've been, teaching for over 20 years and industry experience over 25. Not just digital marketing, advertising, many different industries and different types of experiences I bring in the classroom. And this is what I enjoy doing. This is what I like to do at my part-time. And it's always a pleasure seeing you students and new faces like you guys. To contact me, this is the best way. You can email me directly at milorad.eftosky@humber.ca. Alternatively, I prefer you do the messages from the Blackboard. Do this for all of your teachers, I should say. Just go to messages and just message your teacher. When you do create a new message, by the way, you want to make sure you check on this email copy as well. This way, if we miss your message here, we're bound to get it on the email. It's just like an extra proof of delivery. Okay, so just make sure you do that. Write the message, send it out, and that's how we can communicate. Okay, as some of you have done already. All right, this is the Adobe Creative Cloud License info. This is the stuff we've been talking about. So again, you're getting a good deal here for $175 minus the $25 you have already paid with your tuition and stuff. That's a pretty good deal for the year. This is the form again. Make sure you click on that and fill it out as soon as possible. This is time sensitive. It's already week 2. I know time's kind of whizzing by pretty quick, but you log in and fill out a few questions, and that's how you do the form. I covered this last Wednesday as well. If all else fails and this is taking too long, I did give you the person that actually sent me this new application form. And this is the person here, but I do suggest you contact the general IT at Humber. Like, do not contact. This is it's the person himself. He's the manager, so you don't have to go directly there. Go to the normal support staff, and if all else fails, we'll just reach out to him if needed to be. I'll just put it in there. And what else do we have here? So we have the course outline and critical path. We covered this again on Wednesday. This is just a formal course outline that covers all the basics in the class. As you know, this is the digital illustration and imaging class. It used to be called web productions techniques, but because we're focusing primarily on design and using the two most powerful programs in the world, such as Illustrator and Photoshop, this is why the name changed to this particular title here. All right. More importantly, you have the critical path. This gives you a clear outline on all your classes, not just this one, from week to week, to the topics that we cover in the middle column here, to the assignments and due dates on the far right column here. So we got like exercise 1, for example, which I'm going to assign to you today. We also have a project one that I'm going to assign to you probably Wednesday when I do see you in person. And then these are the due dates. Now, based on the challenges we're facing with getting the software, I might have to maybe postpone or move these dates around a bit. This is fine. I do have room for flexibility. So this is how basically we go through the whole semester. This is it's a very, very interesting class. I mean, not just me saying it, a lot of my students enjoy it too, and you can get a lot of experience in these two most powerful software techniques that you're going to learn. My graphic design students learn this stuff for 2 semesters straight. With you guys, I had to split it in half because this is not a graphic design program, but you do have to learn some of these design principles to apply toward your web design and web development techniques. So the first half of the semester, which is the 7 weeks, we're going to focus on digital illustration, which is Adobe Illustrator. So this is what we're going to be covering in the first 7 weeks. Then we have a reading week in between. After we come back from the reading week, I'm just projecting here, somewhere in the middle of October, late October is when we have the reading week. And then we come back for week number 9, right till December, which is the end of the semester. We go right through Photoshop, which is the digital imaging segment. Okay, so we do digital illustration in the first half and digital imaging in the latter half. Okay, so this is how we're going to break up this whole course. And this is your critical path. We're going to visit this from time to time just to go over some of the deliverables and some of the things you might want to talk about or ask me questions. But this is your pretty much your roadmap to this class, and your other classes should have a similar outline as well. Okay. All right, now this is your Illustrator module. As I said, the last half of the semester, you'll have a Photoshop module. So this is for the first half of the semester. We're going to cover, we have the classes, the assignments, okay, and everything is pretty easily accessible from here. Your assignments will be to create a wordmark logo. So I'm going to introduce that to you later today. Wednesday, we can, cover it even more in person and stuff and give you some more examples. And then we have the class 1 introduction, which is today's class. I know I met you on Wednesday, but that was more like a lab. It's just how the week fell because of the holiday, the Labor Day Monday. So we have to kind of improvise, and this is formally like your first class today. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to finish the exercise and I'm going to upload it in this folder right here, which is class 1 introduction. And then next week we'll get into the class 2. All right. So what else we have here? We do have the main projects. Okay, so you're going to have 2 main projects. First one is going to be, call it like your midterm exam, a digital illustration project. Okay, that'll be the application splash banner, which again, we went over a few things on Wednesday, and I'm going to cover this more in depth as I do assign it to you. And you're going to have another main project due for the digital imaging class, which is the Photoshop class. So you have 2 big projects. Well, again, this is a creative class. I don't give you exams or quizzes. You just deliver projects and assignments, okay? Or assignments, exercises. But those are pretty, again, creatively put together for you, for example, because you're going to have 2 assignments and 1 big project in each module. Okay, so the Illustrator module, you're going to have, so there's your first assignment, there's your second assignment. You're going to do a UI kit for a mobile device, which should help you in the other class as well. I believe you do have the UX class with Felice, so this will maybe help you to incorporate these UI kits in XD, and you can then create your prototype design for a mobile app. So some of these classes are meant to help each other if they can. If you see a way to creatively implement something from one class to another, it's even better. Okay, we all support that stuff all across. So the more you can incorporate some of these things in other classes, it's going to really help you in both ways. All right, so now let's begin with the actual program. Okay, so I know most of you don't have the application, but when you do get it and you're watching this video, you're going to install Adobe Illustrator. This is your Adobe Creative Cloud. There's all your applications, well, the ones I installed. So you do have like video editing software, audio editing software, media encoding software, animation software. This replaced Flash, by the way. Flash was a big program just over 10 years ago, I guess. Dreamweaver, okay, for web design and coding. It just kind of replaces your traditional, uh, coding software that you normally use. This is packaging. This is a basic video editing software called Rush. It's an offshoot from Premiere. XD for mobile prototyping. InDesign for desktop page layout, like magazines, newspapers, things like that. Multiple page documents. You do have Acrobat, which is really cool because this program alone you can edit PDFs basically and then save PDFs and export PDFs. So it's a really, really cool tool to have as well. Adobe Illustrator is what we're going to be covering in this class. Premiere Pro is an advanced video editing software that professionals use. Photoshop is the digital imaging software that we're going to use the next module in this semester. So these are the two main programs, this one and this one that we're going to cover. You're also going to be learning this one in your UX class. And all the other ones are just, kind of, I guess, miscellaneous programs that can help you in other ways. Adobe Express, it's got a lot of AI capabilities built in, okay? And all the other examples here, okay? Firefly as well. So you're getting all this for that price that I mentioned earlier. So after that, I don't know what you're going to be paying, but it's a lot more. So just take advantage of the deal while you can. All right, so let's open Illustrator now. Another way when you install the program, you can access it from your dock. If you're using a PC, you can access it from the Windows menu under Applications, okay? But then there's a software that you're going to see. The icon looks like this. Adobe Illustrator stands for the AI. So as soon as I open that up, it'll launch the software. And this is, by the way, the screen splash banner right there. If you saw it for a few seconds, if you can pause the video, rewind it, that's your application banner that you're going to be creating for the next big project, okay, for this class. All right. So this is Illustrator's interface. I've used a lot of drawing programs in the past. Illustrator, to say the least, it's my favorite one. Not because I'm teaching it, it's because the way the ability of the program is quite amazing with the way it handles any type of vector files and just from a designer's perspective, not just illustrations and graphic design, in all different types of industries, this program is highly respected in many aspects of the way it can just create and design anything. Okay, and this is what professionals use, from fashion illustration, marketing to video, title creation, illustration, rendering, packaging, typography, you name it. There's a lot of different things you can do. For you guys doing web design and development, you're going to be creating logos, UI kits for your mobile prototypes. Okay, so this is a great tool to design the materials that you need to put on your websites or the materials you need to put in your UX design, because those programs are limited, like Figma and XD. I mean, they can surely create the space and the design necessary to create the prototype, but they don't have the capability that Illustrator has to actually design things from scratch. And this is why you're learning this great tool. There's other programs in the past, like Corel Draw was a good one from the 90s and the early 2000s. It's not really discontinued, but it's faded out as far as the industry is considered. Macromedia Freehand was another popular digital illustrating software, big in Europe and the UK areas. As far as North America, this is the one we use. And now globally, this is the most recognized digital drawing program. So without further ado, let's get started. We do have the option to start a new file. We can also open an existing file, just like anything else. I'm going to create the new file button here. And a second window will pop up. And this is where you get to create different types of media. So, the main thing you should ask yourself is, what are you creating? I think we did a business card in the last quick lab class on Wednesday. So maybe we'll do something, a continuation of that one as well, since we didn't record it. We do have a mobile option to create a mobile prototype design. So you can actually create an actual app in here by designing the buttons, the fonts, the backgrounds, the images, all the materials. And you can pick the type of phone that you're making it for. It could be an iPad, an iPhone, an Android, whatever choice you like. A web, you might create a website. Okay, create the website first, how the layout will look like. A lot of times you don't just, make a website, right? You have to get information like colors and fonts, image placements, design, basic elements, fundamentals. You have to create wireframes. You have to create a schematic diagram. How is it going to flow and how is it going to connect? Okay. So a lot of these things are important before you begin the coding aspect, which is the development part of the design. I know you're learning this at the same time, so you have to kind of dive into it. But I mean, professionally, this is how, big agencies and corporations do stuff. They do the preliminaries, the prototypes, the wireframes, the site maps, and then you get into the coding. The coding goes last, okay? And these are the different options here. You have web large, web medium, okay? I like this one here, the 1920 by 1080p. You can always elongate it after, whereas the height goes, because if you scroll the website down, the height increases. So you can always change this aspect afterwards. Print, of course, is very, very big in Illustrator because you can create all kinds of, documents, one pagers, multiple pages you can create, from letterheads to business cards to resumes to any type of thing, brochures, flyers. They do all kinds of stuff here in the printing. Branding, okay. Branding is for, like, again, doing advertising for, I guess now it's from like digital advertising. And then you have like the social media ad sizes as well. You see the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the YouTube, the Pinterest, and all the other ones there. Art and illustration is your freehand type of blank document preset. You can design it to any size you want and start from scratch. Film and video. Okay, so you do create an actual video title. You can create a title that goes right on top of the video. It's called superimposing. So you can create graphics that go right on top of the video effects that you see in Illustrator onto the video. And then you have some free templates to choose from. So as you can see, Illustrator caters to many different, industries, and based on what you're doing, the software can really, really help you design and develop almost anything. And let's face it, these days, everything around you, whether it's a service or a product, if it's not branded properly, it's not going to be known, it's not going to sell. What makes a successful product work is branding. Okay, so branding is, even entrepreneurs selling your stuff on YouTube and all these other things I see all over the place. They brand themselves, whether it's Anthony Robbins or whoever, somebody else, right? They brand themselves and they sell you the brand, and that's what people, they trust the brand, they buy the product for that. So Illustrator is your, gateway tool to actually make this happen. So let's go ahead and start off with a basic print file. A business card is still a very tangible, important piece of delivery for an individual or a business. Even though we're getting into the digital stuff more now and print is becoming more obsolete, I think print still is valued and it's still needed, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. People are still going to want to touch something in their hands. We're still humans. We're not going to get everything, implanted in our heads and look at all pixels and pixels. Sometimes we get desensitized with this stuff. So more and more people that I meet right now professionally, they all want a business card or something tangible in their hands they can give to someone, from one human to another. So let's go ahead and create an actual business card size. For that, we're going to measure it in inches. So you want to select the units first from the top right corner here. I think there's view more, and this will give you an actual business card template. So if you just want to click on that, it's actually right over here. If you click on view less or view more, okay, either way you can do it, whichever way you like. You can always reprogram the units here. So this is going to be set to not points. See, points and pixels is the same thing. So 1 point and 1 pixel are equivalent to one another. But 252 pixels in width is equivalent to 3.5 inches. So that's the equivalent. If you multiply 72 times 1, okay, it's in 1 inch times 3, because there's 72 dpi and depends on the resolution. In this case, it's 300. That's how you can do the math to get the proper dimensions across. All right, and then if we go to points again, right? So 72 plus 72 is 144 basically. So 2 inches. That's how it's based on 72 dpi. So don't worry about conversions and stuff like that. I'm just showing you what these numbers really mean and how the units can be controlled and measured, okay, or compared. A bleed is something if you print to the edge of the page. If I was teaching you pre-press, I would definitely dwell into the subject and give you like a half an hour of explanation, but I'm not going to bother, although I think I did on Wednesday. Even did a little magic trick with you guys showing you how this stuff works. So bleed is when you print graphics to the edge of the paper. So you got to apply the bleed because then they know where to cut the actual substrate. In this case, it's paper, and they're going to cut it to the point where the ink bleeds right to the edge of the page. CMYK color is what you configure the printing colors to be. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Cyan is that light blue color, magenta is that pink color, yellow is the yellow color, and K is the black color. And RGB is the red, green, and blue, which is the most common form of color breakdown that you see on the TVs, monitors, screens, your cell phone. Everything's based on this RGB projection. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. Those three colors combined can create millions of other colors. It's just mixing values, and that's how colors work in these digital programs. So whether you're doing stuff for screen, like websites, mobile prototypes, apps, videos, RGB. You want to print something on the printer, you switch it to CMYK. So that's a quick way to classify the two and to break it down. So in this case, we're going to do a digital and a printed card. So we're going to do CMYK because you can also do both. 3.5 by 2. We're going to hit the how many artboards we want. 1. If it's a double-sided business card, you can always put 2, but you can always make a second one later. So I'll just leave it at 1 for now. We're going to hit the create button, and we're going to go ahead and create a business card. I'm going to zoom out of the document. So the first thing I want you to do is get familiar with the interface. Nothing better than getting familiar with the workspace you're working with. Otherwise, you're going to struggle through many little obstacles and it gets a little frustrating. It's like getting into a vehicle. If you're driving a different car or motorcycle or a bike, you want to make sure you adjust your height of the seats, the handlebars, whatever it is. In many ways, you want to be comfortable. Once you're comfortable, then you can focus solely on learning these tools. So as far as getting comfortable is, let's learn the basics. If you press Control or Command minus, Command plus is how you zoom in and zoom out of the screen. If you hold the space bar at any given time, you get to have the little hand tool, which lets you pan around the page, and you can easily do this. If it gets lost, don't worry. To bring it back, you just press Control 0 beside the number 9, the 0, not the O, and that just zeroes right in, okay? Because sometimes these things do happen. So Control plus, Control minus, space bar, learn those very basic tricks, and they work in all programs, like all the Adobe programs, like Photoshop, Illustrator, I think XD as well, right? As far as the tools are concerned, we do have this very simple interface I like to use. I prefer you do Window, Workspace, and you set it to Essentials Classic. If it's not set to that, then you can just reset the Essentials Classic. I like the Classic interface because it does introduce the basic principles. From a learning perspective, it's a good way to dive into the program. Whereas Essentials just gives you like the essentials, right? But I like to use Essentials Classic because you get the nice bar at the top, which gives you a lot of flexibility and maneuverability with editing objects and things like that. One thing I want to point out is this toolbar here. If it looks like this, I want you to spread it to 2 columns instead of 1 column, just so you can see the tools a little easier to not only to explain, but to navigate and find things. It's a lot easier with the 2 column breakdown. These are your palettes here. So things like the color, gradients, stroke, whatever you're looking for, you just kind of find right here. It looks a little overwhelming, I know, but once you get used to the program, it's pretty much self-explanatory, and there's only a few that you're really going to use. You're not going to use all these things, right? You're only going to use a few that I'm going to ask you to. Same as the tools. Okay, out of all these tools that you see here, I would say like a good, 7, 8 tools are the ones you're going to use mostly. Okay, so you're not going to use like all these 20 different tools. I mean, you can, but depends what you're using them for. So practically most work that like 90% of the work that's done in Illustrator, it's using only like 20% of the program's capabilities. Okay. The other stuff is again depending on if you're rendering 3D and if you're doing exports and if you're slicing, there's many things you can do. Okay. Keep in mind software developers always want to upgrade their software to, sell it to a bigger audience. So they always have to introduce new things. It gets a little redundant. For example, you can do whereas it first came out, Illustrator was able to, you can do the same thing using 2 or 3 different techniques. Now you can include 5 or 6 or maybe 7 techniques to get the same thing done. So it's just becoming a little more, you know, distracting, I guess, with the more methods introduced. My job is to teach you the simple methods, the one that will work, and the ones that are nice and easy to understand and to apply. And the other stuff along the way, if you want to learn it, that's fine. But the fastest, the best way possible, I find is the easiest way to learn this stuff. All right, so again, the tools, these are the properties, these are the palettes. I'm just going to get rid of my libraries here because I don't really want them. So I'm just going to drag the library and drag the properties and close it down. So there's my tools there. And yeah, feel free to move this around if you have to. Okay. Alrighty. Notice how it's still there because it's not docked. Docked means if you drag it to the edge of the page or the edge of the document there, it docks to the corner, which means now it's part of the application. Whereas if it's a floating window, okay, it's not docked, which means if you move the program, this still creates a distracting presence. So I prefer you dock it for now so it becomes unified with the application. So by doing this, now it's together. It's easier to, when you resize and stuff, it carries together nicely. All right. Okay, so let's begin now. This is a business card. How do we know? Because we can go to the artboard tool and we can resize it if we need to, or create other artboards. We can also see here the dimensions, 3.5 inches by 2 inches. The width is 3.5, the height is 2. Okay. You don't have to go to the artboard tool unless it's necessary. Your primary tool should be your main selection tool. And the main selection tool is this one right here. It's the darker arrow tool. Okay, it's like I call it the black arrow, right? So the V is a shortcut. The black arrow, okay, consciously you should always kind of veer toward that tool. Whatever you do here, you should always eventually go to the black selection tool or maybe the white selection tool, which is called the direct selection tool. I think this one is even more important, the group selection tool. So these two are like my favorite. Not just to call them favorite, but the most important ones you need to learn to use the software. Because this is an object-oriented program, very similar to an object programming language, but in this case it's more visual. So you're selecting objects on the screen and you're adhering to them. You're applying properties and doing stuff. So the way to select the objects and to apply the changes is by using these two tools. Okay. This one is for editing anchor points, and this one is to select objects in a group. I'm just going to leave it at default for now. So please make sure you remember those are the main tools in here. Whatever you select, and look, it gives you little quick tutorials on what each tool does, right? All right, so let's go ahead and these are miscellaneous tools like the magic wand and the lasso. I mean, these didn't exist like 10 years ago, so they were just added on as an extra way to select miscellaneous points. So I wouldn't even bother explaining those until later. These are your drawing tools. So this one is the pinnacle of the program. So the pen tool is something, I'm gonna teach you how to use. If I had more time in Illustrator, I would, you know, I'm just tell you right now, this is the most practical tool to learn if you want to become a digital illustrator. This is how you draw vector shapes. These are just adding and deleting anchor points. Anchor points is the little points that you have on the object that defines the actual shape. You'll see that later on as we make stuff. This one just came out of nowhere. I don't, you can't really control this tool that much, but it's not bad. It just creates more like a curvature shapes. Okay. Um, Honestly, I wouldn't even bother with this tool. I mean, I'll show you how it works, but this is the one. If I was to pick one to teach you, this is the one you should learn. This is like very specific. Okay. So pen tool, selection tool. So the takeaway here is the pen tool, the selection tool, the type tool. Okay, you're gonna create some typography and type stuff and use letters. That's how you communicate with the audience. So definitely we're gonna have to use the type tool. These are your line tools and stuff. Again, these are miscellaneous. The line tool is the one you might use. And finally, the objects, whether it's rectangles, elliptical shapes, polygon stars. You can always edit these shapes, but that's your main shape tool. So my goal is to teach you the, the objects, okay? Drawing with the pen tool, using typography, and selecting these things. So all the main things I'm clicking on right now is the things I want you to learn as we go forward in the next few weeks. This other stuff is just noise for now. It's just going to distract you and confuse you. So please don't worry about these things. Those are just additional tools to help you do some more advanced drawing techniques. But with those four tools that I just went over right now, you can do like 90% of the work in Illustrator. Okay? All right. Just so you know what I'm talking about here, let me go to let me just show you. Gonna open a file that I was working on recently. Parts file. Something more design oriented. Just from a layout perspective, like you see this flyer here, like this was put together in Illustrator using objects, type, and different design elements. Stuff like this was also done in Illustrator using logos and layouts. Like you can use Illustrator for a lot of different things, right? Let me just open this up to show you. This is the latest one we did with the aesthetic gum kit. Okay, so if I open this up in Illustrator, it looks like this, you see? And if I press Command Y, this is all the drawing elements that go within the design. So here, this is like the logo, right? I think it's locked. This is the typography here. This is the graphic here. This is the bottle that they're selling for 3D printers. They use resin to make teeth these days. This is more typography. This is like a chart we made, and this is the contact info. So you put an ad together, whether you put on social media, you print it, you put in a magazine. This is what you're constructing from a layout perspective to get this done, and some background textures to help the design look more appealing, right? But if you take away all these things, I mean, all you're gonna have is a blank page. It's just how you put it together that makes it what it is, right? Gonna close it and don't save it, of course, right? So all we're doing is layouts and design. But first, once you learn the fundamentals of drawing, you can make almost anything. So let's start with the basics. I know we did this on Wednesday, but I'm gonna kind of reiterate it right now. So I'm gonna start with the rectangle tool, the most basic of all drawing tools. We're gonna draw a rectangle here. And right away, if you don't go with the selection tool, you're going to draw another rectangle and another. You're going to keep drawing rectangles all day unless you decide to go and select them with the main selection tool. And then you're going to go ahead and just simply do the rearrangement of the design afterwards. Okay. Then you can obviously resize the rectangles. You can reposition them. You can um, rearrange them. Okay. Perhaps you want to change the colors of them. So the basic fill principles are over here. This is like the white or fill by default. You can change it to any other color that you see there from the presets. Okay, go with that orange. I'm going to click on this rectangle and change the color to blue. And this rectangle in the back, I'm going to change it to magenta. And if you notice the arrangement of the objects, every time you create a new object, it automatically ends up in the front. See? The new object is always in the front. And the first object you created was in the back. Okay, so that's how you can see how object orientation works in drawing programs. Okay. To rearrange the orientation, you can actually select this yellow rectangle and you can right click and you can tell it to go to the back. So arrange, ascend to back. Okay. And that means all the way to the back. You can also go one step backward or just one step back. You can subsequently do the same thing from the back and bring it to the front. Okay, so now this one's at the very front. So you can always control these object-oriented levels, okay? All right. You can also delete. You can also group objects. So this one, this one, and this one. If I want to make some kind of a design, I can select all three by holding Shift. And I can select multiple shapes and move them at the same time. Alternatively, you can also right-click and group them together. Grouping is a very powerful and a very common method of grouping objects to join them as one. Not I got to be careful when I say join because it's different than group, because it basically makes them, it won't let you do that actually because there's some kind of a technical stuff. But I'll show you how joining works after. Visually, you can actually weld things. You can mesh two objects into one, basically. It's like morphing. But grouping is a more simpler task, which what you do is when you group them and you click on any one of them, well, they're automatically grouped now because that's what you did. You can also ungroup them and you got to deselect, reselect, and now they're ungrouped. So group again is when you right click group, or you can also right click and ungroup. But because they're grouped now, what Illustrator created was you can double click and that takes you inside the group. You see this little gray bar that just popped up? That means now I'm inside the group and I can edit the group's arrangements from within. And when I'm happy with my rearrangement, I can then go ahead and I'm just going to rotate these by clicking on the edges and doing something like that. So if I want to, I'm happy with this editing that we're just doing right now, and I can also round the corners too by clicking on the inside radius here. I can then press escape or just click on the layer or go back to, because the layer is the group that I'm working with by default. By pressing escape, then you're just going back to the normal artboard. So please be careful because I noticed this happen in the early stages of learning the software. A lot of students accidentally double click or triple click. Now you're really inside the object. That means whatever you're doing is within this object. You're not affecting your overall design. So do this with intent. Like don't do it by accident because then you're not gonna get anywhere. Okay. So be careful when you like double click, triple click by accident. It does happen, I know. Once this pops up, that should raise a flag and say, wait a minute, I'm not on the main artboard anymore. I'm inside this object that I'm working with it. Okay. So you just have to press escape. And once you see this clear, that means you're in the right spot. So please remember that. As a matter of fact, that should be like your biggest takeaway from this whole thing, knowing how to object orient and position yourself in the right environment. Okay, so this is group now, and again, double click, triple click, right, or just press escape, and you can control the whole thing. All right, so now let's design something. So we're going to create another object with a rectangle. I'm just going to go like this, right? And then if I go ahead and select it instinctively right away when I draw something, I go back to the selection tool. I don't want this black border, okay? So I'm going to go to this black stroke here because this is the fill, this is the stroke. Watch here. Same thing reflects this area. This is the fill, this is the stroke. If I hit this little switcheroo button, it swaps the two. So now the stroke became orange, the fill became black. You can always switch it. But rather than doing that, you can also change it from up here. You can also change it from here, but you have to go click, Actually, you have to double click. And then you can pick another color and basically click OK. To pick a color more from the swatches, you can do it this way. To pick a color from the color picker, you can double click this way. So you have a lot of options to choose color, okay? So you're in control when it comes to this stuff. To increase the border, you simply go to the stroke value here and you go up or down to reduce or to increase the stroke value, okay? You want this to go to the edge of the page, you simply do that. Well, you got to snap it like this. See, it snaps. But then the stroke is kind of hitting outside of the bounding area. So what you can do then is go to the stroke. This is the stroke palette. You can just click on it and you can align it to the inside as opposed to the middle. You can also go to the outside. So you can control the alignment of the stroke. This is how powerful Illustrator is. A lot of programs don't have these features and functionalities. And the greater control you have, the more you can do with the program. There's like no limits what you can do here when it comes to creating or designing, okay? So now you have this, border, cool looking banner on a business card, and that's something you can kind of go with. All right. Again, if you don't want the stroke, you can just click on here and go to no stroke. You got to go look for this. It's to the top left corner. It says none. It's got a white box with a red um, stripe going across. So that means none. That means no border. Just a simple, solid color, which I think it looks a little more professional and proper in this case. Okay. All right, so I do have a nice reddish burgundy bar for my design. And maybe what I want to do now is incorporate some typography, or maybe copy another one down here by simply holding Option or Alt on your keyboard while you have an object selected and you drag it, it creates a copy of that object. It's like doing copy and paste. I just did Control C, Control V. It's the same thing. But there's something about doing this, it just makes it more instrumental. So Option, drag, and then you can hold Shift while you're holding Option, drag, or Alt, drag with Shift. You can just duplicate it and do that. Let go of the mouse, let go of the shortcuts after, and make this a little smaller. And there's your design, right? And that's what you can do when it comes to this could be like a little website. This could be like the menu. It could be like a UI kit or something, whatever it is that you want to make. In this case, it's a business card. And we can change the color of this one and that one. Maybe this one, we're going to go a shade lighter. So just double click. I'm going to go to a lighter shade here. Okay. There we go. All right, and the white space here is maybe reserved for me to put some typography. So now that we did basic object introduction, okay, by the way, there's the other shapes if you want. The ellipse tool does, if you don't hold shift, you're doing this. As soon as you hold shift, when you're drawing any objects, you're constraining it to a perfect circumference or object lock method. Okay, so you can just do that with shift. As soon as you let go, this could be maybe I don't know, a user profile or a logo or something like that you can place in this area. That's how you can select multiple objects and draw stuff. Okay. I'm hearing some noises in the background, so I'm going to just quickly pause for a second and see if you guys have any questions. Is everyone okay? Everyone's good? All right. You can also do some interaction with objects, which I'm going to get into, I guess, more and more as we move along further with the lesson. I'm going to just make this a little bigger for now. Okay. And just to show you how I can merge these two shapes. If I select this one and that one, this one and the circle, instead of grouping and arranging and all this kind of stuff, what I can do is go to my Pathfinder option. And this is another one I want you to remember. It's called Pathfinder. It's right here. And it's also located right over here. It's got these two little boxes. This is what makes Illustrator even more profound of what it can do, because you can then merge the shapes Okay, I'm going to press Control Z or Command Z, or you can do what's called exclude or minus front, which means it'll do a cookie cut type of effect from one shape on top of the back shape. And that's how you can basically subtract stuff. Okay, so I just minused that object right from the actual rectangle. So I isolated or I extracted. I did a cookie cutout, basically, with another terminology that's more user friendly. Basically, I cut out the circle from the rectangle from the back. So whatever's in the front extracts the one from the back. Okay, so you can do the opposite. You can merge or you can extract. So this now maybe creates the opportunity for me to create something more in this area here, like a design of some kind, right? So then I'm going to use the typography next for that one, and I'm going to show you how typography works with the same method as well. So with the type tool, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and type maybe your initial of your first name. But first, let me explain how this works. So one thing is you can click and type your name. Okay, I'm just going to type the letter, just type my first name, Milorad. Okay. And then if I go to the main selection tool and I grab the corner, I can basically resize my name at any given size that I want. Okay, like that. Be careful if you don't hold shift, you get to do stuff like this. And this looks very unprofessional. So you don't want to do stuff like this because then it looks more amateur. So you don't want to just do this. You got to always hold shift to keep it constrained. Okay. Now, the second way to use the type tool is if you click and drag a text box. So doing this presents the opportunity for you to put multiple letters or words in that type field. And lorem ipsum is the default. It's a Latin derivative it's a 500-year-old language that they use for placement holders. So if I then go with the selection tool, because this is a text box, look what happens. It flows like a text box. So notice how I can't stretch or resize the text by doing this. All I'm doing is controlling the flow of the text by readjusting the boundaries of the text box. So whether you want to make a text box is you click and drag the mouse. But if you want to create a text field like a logo or something you can easily maneuver, resize, and move around, you just have to go click once and then go back to the selection tool. So the difference is this is transformable, and this is basically, controllable. Okay, so you can control this with the boundaries, and you can resize this way. Again, I tell my students, if you want to put some nice content like phone number, address, like multiple lines of text, you can draw a text box. If you want to put your name on the business card, just do a one-liner. This way you can always kind of resize it and tweak it to any type of design that you want to. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click again here. This time I'm going to type my letter M, which is my initial. And I'm going to go back to the selection tool and just make it a lot bigger. So this is going to be basically my letter M that I'm going to use for my design here. Okay, so this is the letter, which I just clicked and typed. And this is a text box. So the difference is one's a text box, one's a character. Okay. And the difference here again is if you press view, another shortcut here, control or command Y, outline view. Outline view, it's like your X-ray vision in your glasses. You can see through everything. So you might have hidden objects. You might have things you're not aware of. This gives you the ultimate advantage of previewing your work in a linear perspective. So no colors, no fills, just objects. Notice how this one is the letter M, and this is the text box here. You can get more familiar with this visually as you practice more and more. But just so you know now, this is how it looks like. I'm going to press Control Y, toggle on and off like a switch. Okay. And I'm showing you this because what you can do in Illustrator is unprecedented compared to other programs, because now you can basically go here under type and you can do what's called create outlines. I'm throwing all the meat and the potatoes at you guys this morning just to show you the capabilities of the software. And I apologize if you're a vegetarian, but that's the expression I use sometimes. So creating outlines is another popular method in Illustrator that's able to transform your letters into objects. Because keep in mind, this is an object-oriented program. So if I create outlines, this letter now is converted into an object. Let me press Command Y again. You see the difference? It's no longer black filled. It's more like an outline, which means I can edit this like an object and do something really, really creative. Things that you can't do in most programs. Okay. So again, Illustrator is very special because you can do all these nice things. So what can we do with this letter M? Well, I can basically go, and we can move this over here. This could be like a business card eventually, right? So what I can do with this letter M is I can then convert to this direct selection tool. This is the white arrow tool instead of the black one. What I can do then is grab this, just zoom in closely here. I can grab the bottom and I can stretch this out. If I hold shift, it keeps it nice and straight. I can grab the bottom of this one and stretch it even more. So I can really do some more interesting design elements right now. I can also go to the edge here and maybe drag this up this way. Same with this edge, I can drag it up that way. And with this edge, I can drag it up this way. If I want to follow a certain rhythm, I can actually draw, create like a imaginary angulation there of the design, and I can do something with it. I can then grab this object. It's an object now, which means I can't change the font or the style. Like this one, I can change the character. I can change the font if I want to, something else, right? A different font, right? I can change the style and the font here. By the way, I'm using up, up, down, down options here. Oh, there's the fonts, okay? So I can change it to another font and that'll happen. With this one, I can't change the font because I created outlines. So right now it's considered an object. So that's the difference between creating objects and working with fonts. I can also change the size of this to a smaller, oh, that's the height of the line. This is the size right here. Okay, so I can change the height, or sorry, the point size. So this is still editable far as text is concerned, where this one here is no longer editable. The only way to edit this right now is through an object-oriented method, like using anchor points, object, anchor point selection, things like that. I can change the color though. If I use the eyedropper tool, I can match this light color here or this dark color over here. Okay, I can also pick a different color from up here if I want, right? So I can definitely go ahead and change to any color that I wish. You can do sample colors and stuff like that, right? But that's how you can basically understand how this program works. In a nutshell, I'm showing you all the important features this program has to offer and show you ways to deliver your first assignment. Because your first assignment is for you to create this wordmark logo. So you're going to create like a logo of a shape, and I'll do some other examples as well. And you're gonna maybe put in a business card format, because how are you gonna deliver a logo? You're not just gonna, throw it at me, right? You're gonna have to present it in some form. So business card is the best way to kind of put it together. If you want to make up like a phone number, like an email or something to make it look more authentic, you can, okay? Which we're gonna do next. But this is how I want you to approach this first exercise and your learning curve as you learn this program. Again, as we move forward, you can put images in here. You can do some more editing stuff and so on and so forth. Let's go back to this white arrow tool just to show you more. I can click on this point right now and I can totally move this around, right? I can do stuff like that if I want. Not that it's helped my design at all, but just to show you the editing part. So you can use these anchor points. You can do lots and lots of cool things. You can round this up, right? So you can really change the um, the curvature and the shape at any given time. Okay, maybe this one I'm going to move it down a bit this way, right? If I press Command or Control Y, this is my design, right? So let's go ahead and double click and change this into like a real business card format. So I'm going to put here my name. All right. Here I'm going to put my email. It's a little bigger, the email, so it doesn't fit. So I'm going to select just the email. I'm going to go to the character and just reduce my point size to a smaller amount. See, when it comes to these numbers, anything over 12 is too big. Even 12 might be too big sometimes. So keep your point size around 9 or 10. Professionally, it looks nice on a business card. So there's your print tip of the day. Sometimes you can put your title. Okay. So, and then we have I had many titles, by the way, from art director, designer, senior designer, marketing director. I mean, I wore many hats. I like to just go by designer just to keep it simple. So then on the bottom here, maybe I can put my phone number and address. Okay. And then that could be like my business card. Now I'm going to accentuate certain parts. For example, my phone number, I want to make it perhaps bolder. So I'm going to go to medium or bold. Maybe I want to change the color. See how it's nice and bold right now? With the eyedropper, I'm going to change it to this color. So it matches those color kind of coordinate there. This one, I'll make it even smaller by going to character and maybe going with 9 points. And even that one can be perhaps this lighter color. Okay. And I'm not saying go color frenzy here, but the title doesn't have to be as big either. The name should be like the biggest part of your card, right? So this could be even like 10 points. And we're going to go with regular thin. Okay? So you can see different styles I'm introducing here to show you different ways you can display this design. Light. Let me go with light instead of thin. I like this font actually because it has a lot of different styles. So you can go with these are styles, okay? And this is the actual font. Font is how the type or the text design looks like, the typeface. So most typefaces have different styles, and some have more than others, right? I'm just gonna make this a little bigger here. I just did Command or Control Shift less than greater than to control the point size that way. All right. Now, this is not trust me, these are not my colors or my choice of design, but I just did whatever I can to show you different ways to approach this. And maybe I'll do another variation of this and try something else. Okay. But this is how you can start almost any design and turn into like a business card, right? And then maybe another time I can show you how to get your perhaps some social media icons and things like that. Maybe you want to have, you're a big Instagram star, you want Instagram followers, or some other ways you can do that as well. Okay. Um, so maybe now we're going to let me just press Control Y. So what happens next, right? Let's say I want to print this card. Well, hold on. There's usually if you print something these days, since they're doing all the setups and cutting and you're wasting all that ink, you can easily print the back as well. So the back of the card, if this is the front of the card, what's going to be in the back of the card? So the back of the card, I'm going to create page 2 because it's very inexpensive to print both sides since we're going to be printing this. I'm going to use the artboard tool, which is located right there. Okay. And I'm going to click this is new, by the way, eh? This little plus button, it didn't exist like last version of Illustrator, or maybe I just missed it, but I know it's new. So if you click on this, it just creates a new artboard. So if you just keep doing that, it'll just create multiple artboards. Okay. Now, honestly, I only need one artboard. Instead of me clicking on this little plus sign, I'm going to show you a more traditional way I like to do it. I like to hold Option, drag, Shift. So I'm duplicating the same artwork to the other place. So I have a copy of the card basically. The reason why I like doing it this way is because then I can eliminate certain things I don't want in the back, for example. Perhaps I like to do something like this. I want to keep this M, but I want to maybe neutralize it. I want to make it white instead of this burgundy color. And then might want to make it bigger or smaller. Well, let me just place with some designs. Even this might work. I don't know. Let me go use the rectangle tool. I'm going to cover the rectangle space like that. Okay. But now if you notice, this is covering this. And you can't see it because they're both the same color. But if I put on my X-ray vision goggles and press Command or Control Y, I can see everything through. Ready? Get it? So now you have the option to bring this to the front because this way you can barely select it or see it. But if you do Control Y, you can then go right through, select whatever you want, right click, arrange, bring it to the front. Because remember, whatever you select, whatever you create last ends up at the front. Whatever you made previous ends up at the back. So this was why you want to switch your views from time to time and arrange or select whatever you want and change the arrangement. In this case, bring this to the front. And not only that, let me press Command Y again. I'll change this color to white. So it's a white fill on top of this burgundy background. And then I might want to even change this a bit more by increasing. I'm holding Shift, by the way. It's design emphasis that way. I might want to even rotate it and do something more extravagant. Maybe I'll do something like this actually. So this could be like my back of the design of the card. It still reflects my logo and has this cool type of abstract design with my colors and the back facing that way. Now I might want to go with the direct selection tool and just kind of tweak this up. Now do me a favor, don't worry about stuff sticking outside. There's nothing wrong with that because then when you do print this, it's gonna bleed right to the edge of the page. I'm just doing this for my own um, explanation purposes here to show you. That I might want to align, but this I don't have to worry about. Okay. Because ultimately, I mean, if you do want to just really get rid of it, you can, but I'm gonna this a little smaller. There we go. I purposely have it bleed this way and that way. So if you really want to get rid of these excess parts, what you want to do is, we'll keep a copy of this because this will be used as the element of extraction, okay? So I'm going to copy that rectangle, copy, paste, okay? So here's a copy of that. So I'm going to paste this. Let me change the color so you can differentiate it with the one in the back. So I'm going to make this like, I don't know, blue, right? So this blue one's going to go right on top, okay? I'm going to shift select that those white parts that are sticking out, which is pretty much the logo, the M, and this new blue rectangle. I'm selecting these two parts, okay? And I'm going to right click and I'm going to create what's called a clipping mask. And again, I'm throwing everything at you in the first class because I'm teaching you all the essential parts you need to know about this program. I'm going to review this next time, so don't worry. Wednesday, I'm going to go over this again when you guys have this program in front of you, and we're going to cover many similar techniques because once you learn these techniques, you can do so much more with this program. I think I did this with you on Wednesday. I did an image, I think, with the globe. So now I'm doing it with a rectangle and a letter. I'll show you what I covered Wednesday. I'll open it up in case you guys don't remember. But same thing goes, clipping mask. It's like a mask, like you're hiding something inside something else. Because I have a rectangle and a letter or whatever, an image, anything, and I make a clipping mask, it'll basically isolate those extra parts away, and you're gonna have something that looks like that. Okay, so that's called a clipping mask. Now I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to keep going and overwhelm you guys with other techniques, but I covered all the stuff you need to learn in order to move forward and do a design like this, or even better, okay? Because this is just one way to do many things in this program. Because once you learn these fundamental principles of the application, you can do many, many cool things. Make interfaces, websites, buttons, you name it. Once you learn how to do a business card, you can learn how to make a website just by applying the same little techniques, by drawing, selecting, changing, resizing, rearranging, grouping, etc., etc. All right, what's more important is saving this file, because if you don't save this file, you're not going to have this work exist, because Illustrator doesn't do autosave by preferences depending on how you have it set up. So what you want to do is save this work by going to File, Save As. You save as, and you save it as an Illustrator native format, and you call it business card. Always put your name. Always. Nothing worse than getting a submission by a student called untitled. Okay, so you want to make sure you put your name, put the project or the exercise description, and then save it onto a very, recognizable area that you choose. In this case, the desktop. I'm going to create a new folder and call it class 2. Okay, this is the class 2 folder. Sorry, class 1 actually. I know it's the second time I'm interacting with you guys, but this is technically our first class. So class 1, create a new folder as an Illustrator file, save. Now, alternatively, you can also do a PDF, because that's what you want to do in order to print it. You want to go to Staples and send it to someone to print, a Vista print. You want to create a PDF, and you should put bleeds actually, but that's something else I'll talk about. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many, print specifications and stuff. Just save it as an Illustrator file for now, because that's what I want you to hand in for me when you do this first assignment. So you're going to save an Illustrator file. You're going to make a folder, hit save. You can leave the defaults as they are. This is just a preset. Illustrator is still based on the 2020 version. Has minor updates, but it's still the main version was 2020, which was 5 years ago. And hit OK, and that's pretty much the format. Now, how do you share this with the rest of the world? Because nobody is able to open Illustrator. A small percentile in the world, like 0.0001% of the world, can open this file right now. A lot of people can't view this on Facebook or Instagram or anything, because you can't upload Illustrator files in these social media platforms. So here's my folder. Here's my Illustrator file, and it's called AI for Illustrator, right? So this is important, because then you can just double click on this file and continue where you left off. Or better yet, maybe change a different variation. So perhaps I'm going to change this blue here to a different color. Maybe I'll go with this one. And this one will be a lighter blue, even lighter. And this one's going to be the same blue as that one. And maybe I'm just going to quickly do some edits here, there. Notice I'm switching back and forth. Eyedropper, type tool, eyedropper, type tool. So type tool, triple click, highlight my text, my phone number, eyedropper tool, pick the color I want to change it to, go to the black selection tool, deselect my text box, select the next color, which is this burgundy color. Remember the clipping mask that I made in the background? Change that to eyedropper again, match it to this blue, go to the selection tool, deselect it. Okay, in a matter of seconds, I got myself another variation of a different color, because somebody might want to choose, the client's not sure what color they want yet, right? So this one, I'll save it as a blue variation. So save as, okay, a business card, your name. I'm going to call it blue version, okay? Save, okay. Same thing, I'll do a green version, okay? I'll select this one, quickly go back again, do the green. This one will be like a darker green. This will be the same green as this one. I'm just doing a lot of clicks, eyedropper, click, set, right? Double click, triple click. Some people like to use Canva and these other programs. The problem with those tools, guys, they're all template based. Now that it's even more popular, everyone's design looks the same. It's embarrassing, okay? You can see somebody, a professional, give somebody, a client or something from these programs, and all of a sudden it looks like the competitor's design. Like it doesn't look anything original, okay? So abstain from using those things and use a real professional program like Illustrator and make something like anything I mean, you can still get ideas. It's all good for that. But as far as you changing stuff and making stuff is a lot faster when you learn the real professional methods of doing it. I'm going to save this as the green version right now. Okay. Just change this to green, right? And save it as an Illustrator file. Now, because I saved 3 variations, okay, what you see here is 1, 2, 3, right? Again, the client won't get a chance to open Illustrator because nobody in the world has Illustrator except us. And even some of you don't have it yet because you're waiting to get your license and you got to pay for it. If people are not going to pay for software, they're not going to, unless they use it as a professional, you're not going to have Illustrator. So how do you present this to a client, or how do you deliver this to people to see what you've done? Well, then you have to create what's called a PDF version. So to make a PDF version in Illustrator, what you want to do is you want to go File. You can also do export as and save it as like a JPEG or something if you really want to give somebody a low proof variation, or post it on social media, or save it as an email attachment. But if you want to professionally print it, you make a PDF and then you send it to the printer, or the client can also see a PDF. So PDF is your medium format for delivery for the client. They can also take the PDF and print it and won't pay you, so be careful. So by doing this, you're doing like the lowest, kind of quality format. So let's do export. Let's like PNG. Okay, PNG is a good format because it's got minimal colors, it's got solid graphics. JPEG is good for like images and stuff. I would use a PNG for this, and I would use the artboards. Okay, and I would just hit export. Do I want to do screen? No, I want to do high quality. It's still gonna be it's still gonna be a PNG. So I'll do high quality so I can see it better. I'll do a white background because if I make it transparent, it'll kind of look weird because the white will be isolated. So high quality PNG, white background, click OK. Okay. But if you want to print it, then you want to do a save as. And I got to do this 3 times. Don't forget. I'm just going to do it once. I'm sure you get the point. PDF, Adobe PDF, green version PDF, save. Illustrator default, you can do high quality print. It's right here, high quality print. You can preserve the Illustrator editing capabilities, leave that alone, and just hit save PDF. So that's what you do when your design is finished and ready to be, um, exported, delivered, um, shared with someone. Okay. Close this window, minimize this, go back to the folder. So now you see all kinds of files, right? This is the PNG file. This one I can post it on social media. Okay. Kind of looks cool. And it's recognizable by almost anyone. I can put on a website because you can upload a PNG file image on a website and make it the graphic for a website, right? Or I can give this to the printer and print the PDF. Once the job gets approved, this is ready to be printed. I can also send this to my client and they can proof this design and see if they like it or not. And these are my files. I don't give these to anyone. These are my files personally to edit, work, and change and make as many variations as I need to. So again, this is my, social media, email, whatever. This one can be email or print delivery to the printer and get the job executed. Okay. And these are my formats. Now, because you're my students, you're going to give me this as well because I'll mark your work. But far as you being a professional, be smart, keep it to yourself unless the client pays you or you trust them, you can give them the Illustrator file if they need it too. Okay. And that's pretty much the scope of everything, how this program works and how professionals use it for many, many things. Okay. And I'll show you some other examples, but this is the fundamental way of creating a workflow, creating a job, having, some design or creative approach input. In this case, we did a card and we did it with a purpose. Okay. So this is the dimension. These are the PNG files. Notice how they're separate. PNG doesn't carry more than one. It's one image. There's a second image because they're independent files. PDF can amalgamate multiple files. So you can put multiple pages in a PDF. That's what's called a portable document format. Illustrator creates it. So that's why in Illustrator you see both, because that's how you created it. All right. So for design, for print, for web. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. Okay. Like I said, I mean, sometimes we go a little quicker than normal, which is good. When I see you Wednesday, we're going to go over this stuff again. I'll do some other examples with you in person. I'm also going to give you some time to practice these techniques with me. If you have any questions, I'll be there to help you. And hopefully by then you will get the software and we can move forward with this. Okay. So I'm going to close this window here. I'm also going to stop my recording because every time I finish my explanation and my session, I stop the recording, and then I'm gonna, as soon as I stop it, I'm gonna upload it to our YouTube channel, which you can then access later on. By Wednesday, I should have it up and running, and I will go over it then. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you're excited to use Adobe Illustrator, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, man.